to mention each and every one. So obviously, one of the importance and significance of convening this meeting, which I say is very historic, the first of its kind, not only in northern Nigeria, but in Nigeria at large. No anybody that has actually made attempt to convene this kind of interaction meeting, engage our discussion, engage our presidential candidate for this very important meeting, particularly to understand, appreciate what is the vision for Nigeria and northern Nigeria in particular. Nigeria is dealing with so many other crises, be it economic, political, educational. Therefore, it is on this note we found it expedient to engage our presidential candidate. We are only engaging about 6. We have 3 today. We have 3 on Monday. We have already completed the first session with the presidential candidate of the PRP, Kola Abiola. And now we are in the second session, which we are engaging the PDP presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, His Excellency, which everybody, you don't need any introduction. When you say Atiku Abubakar, everybody knows him. This is very important. And the participating agency that actually come together to convene this meeting were 6. First, we have Ali House, which is a research center under Ahmadu Bello University. We have Ahmadu Bello Foundation. We have ACM Arewa Consultative Forum. We have Jamia Mutanen Arewa. We have Arewa Development Research Project, ARDP. Then we have Northern Elders Forum. And each and every, this organization, we are represented in this particular meeting. The leaders, the chairman of this organization were represented. We have about 2 segments or 3 segments of invitees. The first one, we have the panels who are here on the high table. And the panel is being chaired by no any other person, but a distinguished personality of his own right, a royal father, who is very known in the entire country, Alhaji Munir Jafaru Mada Kinzazo. He is the chairman of this panel. Then next to him, we have Alhaji Hakim Baba Ahmad from the Northern Elders Forum. Then we have Babayola from Arewa Research and Development Project. Then we have the Wazir in Katsina, who is also deputy chairman of ACF. Then next to him is Rabi Saulawa, the chairman, president of Jamia Mutanen Arewa. Matan Arewa, sorry please. Then the next one is Professor Binta Abdul Karim, who is standing on behalf of the Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University. These are the 6 participating agencies that actually call for this interactive session. Therefore, we hope that in the next 2 hours, we have a very good interaction so that we can drive a lot and learn from our guests who can now tell us what do you have for the country, what do you have for Nigeria, or for Northern Nigeria in particular. How can he be able to address, if he's being elected into the president of this country, how will he be able to address the myriad and plethora of crises and challenges between this country, and how can he move this country forward? We need actually tell us within only the span of 20 minutes. He has only 20 minutes in which he can completely recap his vision, his mission of transforming Nigeria into a giant, not only in Africa, but in the entire world. Nigeria is a country that is highly blessed with abundant human and natural resources. What we are looking is a purposeful leadership. Therefore, it's on this basis that we can. Okay. So the next thing on the agenda, because of time frame, I want to invite the chairman of the panel to give us his own remarks. Your Honor Highness.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على النبي الكريم permit me to stand on existing protocol. It is my great honor and privilege to extend on behalf of Arewa Joint Committee a very warm welcome to His Excellency, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Waziran Adama, the presidential candidate of People's Democratic Party. I welcome to this event VP Atiku's most loyal disciple, as well as members of his inner and outer support team. I welcome his friends and well-wishers. I also welcome our distinguished elders, honorable stakeholders, our guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I can hardly express how delighted we are with the acceptance of the Vice President Atiku to attend this important event by coming in person. Vice President Atiku leaves no one in doubt of the importance and esteem of which he holds the people of Northern Nigeria. As you can see, this program is organized by all the major civic societies and social-cultural organizations in Northern Nigeria. They include the Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF, the Arewa House, the Ahmadu Bello Memorial Foundation, the Northern Elders Forum, the Jam'iyyar Matar Arewa, the Arewa Research and Development Project, and some youth organizations. These groups have their different and separate identities, structures, and operating cultures, but although different in many important aspects, they are united in the vigorous pursuit of peace, progress, and development of Northern Nigeria within the context of the Federation of Nigeria. Their decision to come together and establish a single platform of which to engage closely with the presidential candidates of major political parties in the 2023 election is evident, if any more is needed, that the people of Northern Nigeria will stand together whenever occasions call for it in defense of their core interest. There is no doubt that 2023 elections in Nigeria are coming at a time of considerable anxiety and apprehension. However, the issues and the challenges in Nigeria are not the same, nor do they affect all parts of the country equally. In many cases, such as insecurity, violent crimes, illiteracy, unemployment, general poverty, etc., situations in the northern states differ quite markedly from those in the south of the country. Obviously, over our concerns and priorities reflect the challenges we face. Therefore, while we expect the meeting to enable us state many of our most serious concerns, it will at the same time allow us to listen to Your Excellency as you explain how you plan to address them, inshallah, when you become the President of Nigeria next year, inshallah. To help facilitate this dialogue, we have prepared a short memorandum in which we identified some of the more urgent issues and other matters of concern of Northern Nigeria today. In proceedings, when all is said and done, the outcome of this dialogue shall present a covenant between the incoming President and the Northern Nigeria. Once more, you are welcome. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, the chairman of the panel. And because of we have already wasted most of time, I think we want to skip the remarks by the chairman of the participating agencies. We want to go straight and invite our distinguished guest, His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, to come and give his own speech within 20 minutes. Time is very, very important. You know, when you allow His Excellency to talk, he can talk for the next 1 hour, 2 hours. Therefore, I want to give you 20 minutes. You are starting at 2:43. Therefore, when you are 20 minutes finished, maybe I will have to.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I want to adopt a very short protocol. Your Excellencies, Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters of the Arewa origin. First of all, I want to apologize very deeply for running late. We were held up in Zaria on a courtesy call to the emir. So I do apologize sincerely for this delay. Again, I want to apologize on behalf of Arewa House for the environment you have found yourselves. Very hot, very humid, but we all should blame ourselves. We should have made this place cooler. I thank the Arewa House for really giving me this platform to speak to such a very distinguished audience. I particularly want to thank all those who are present here today and who have been suffering the heat. Your love for northern Nigeria is evident in that you have left your regular pursuits to be here to interact with us on issues that are germane to the progress of the nation and indeed to the entire nation. Really, your presence here inspires me quite a lot. I am immensely grateful to the management of Arewa House for providing a platform to outline the contours of my development agenda for our great nation. As I aspire to govern Nigeria with your support, inshallah, I find it necessary to unveil a policy document which encapsulates my vision for a united, prosperous society in which all citizens can realize their full potentials in a secure and decent environment. It sets out my policy priorities and my strategies for dealing with Nigeria's complex challenges. It is my hope that all those who aspire to govern Nigeria will be given the same platform to unveil their policy priorities and programs. As we go to the polls in February 2023, there can be no better opportunity for the public to interrogate our ideas and strategies to deal with a plethora of local and national issues, from the mundane to the most complex, particularly those issues that have important weight on the future of northern Nigeria. I hereby present myself for that interrogation. You can interrogate me today. However, I would like to caution that northern Nigeria's current social and economic challenges call for sober reflection. The partisan politicking, irrespective of our political differences, it should be our collective desire to see northern Nigeria fulfill our potentials in the not too distant future. I can't wait. We must build consensus on one goal. Northern Nigeria must have its prosperity restored. It must re-emerge as a vibrant, prosperous, and self-reliant economy, operating in a peaceful, secure, and disciplined environment. Anything other than this goal cannot be an option for us in northern Nigeria. This way, we share the dream of our leader and foremost nationalist, Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sardauna of Sokoto and Premier of Northern Region, in announcing his 6-year development plan for the region. He noted the need for northern Nigeria, and I quote, to catch up quickly with even the most economically and socially developed countries in the world. And I quote, that was Ahmadu Bello. He had a vision to transform the region into the largest economy and the hub of investment and commercial activity in Western Sudan, a region whose development would be anchored on its resources and the resourcefulness of its people. He enjoined on several occasions our businessmen to embrace modern industrial pursuits and revive that spirit of adventurous entrepreneurship which made medieval pre-colonial northern Nigeria a great region. He envisioned a northern Nigeria that would attract investors, merchants, scholars from all corners of the globe. Northern Nigeria can realize beyond the dreams of its founding father. It requires strong commitment, initiatives, and discernible shift from the mistakes of the past to lift Northern Nigeria from the abyss to the top of a honey-coated mountain. It requires that we articulate and implement a transformation agenda with specific policies and programs to address the challenges of underdevelopment. Having come this far, so you may ask, so what is Atiku Abubakar's development agenda for Nigeria and Northern Nigeria in particular? My development agenda seeks the political and economic transformation of Nigeria into a united, secure, and prosperous country in which all citizens can live a happy, healthy, and productive life. Economic prosperity is an integral part of this agenda that has 5 elements. 1, to restore Nigeria's unity. 2, to strengthen national security. 3, to build a dynamic economy for prosperity. And improve education delivery, and then also devolve more powers to the states and the local governments. Indeed, economic prosperity is the thread that runs through the other critical elements of the agenda. All of them, all the 5, what runs through them is economic prosperity. All 5 elements of our development agenda are closely linked and influence one another in a dynamic manner. The dream of building a prosperous economy will remain a mirage without unity, without peace and security. Can we achieve economic miracle without all this? No. Indeed, security is key to creating and sustaining an enabling environment for economic growth. Creating economic opportunities for Nigerians will represent significant implications for social cohesion, unity, and national security. Increased jobs and income opportunities will reduce the likelihood of our youth being involved in crime, violence, and conflict motivated by manipulating religious or ethnic differences. Finally, a sound education system is needed to provide the citizens with the appropriate skills and competencies to explore available economic opportunities so that they can prosper. So you may quite rightly ask me again, what will your 5-point development agenda do to support the North? As is often asked, what is it? Is it there for the North? My 5-point development agenda is a national agenda, but with local touch. It is drawn up after careful reflection on key historical and contemporary events, which have helped in defining where we are today. My agenda identifies where we are today and envisions where we want to be as a nation and outlines how we will get there. It's just not mere rhetoric. While the agenda is nationalist in outlook, It recognized the desire of the federating units to chart a course of their social and economic development, but within a national framework. It does also recognize that the federating units' development prospects depend largely on the political and economic dynamics of the Nigerian economy. At all times, a strong and healthy Nigerian economy with a stable macroeconomic environment will be a pertinent factor in their development. Above all, the implementation of the agenda will require collaborative engagements with the states and local governments and across a broad range of private and public stakeholders and a range of state actors at both federal and state levels. I shall outline briefly below the areas of convergence between the 5-point development agenda for Nigeria and development aspirations of northern Nigeria. Growing the economy bigger and faster, the policy priority of the development agenda is to double the size of the Nigerian economy and achieve a GDP of approximately 900 billion by 2030. This would raise Nigeria's GDP per capita from the current levels of approximately 2,000 to 5,000, with additional significant impact on jobs and poverty. Although current growth projections are significantly lower, Nigeria has the potential to achieve this and become one of the top 15 global economies. It's doable, it's possible, with your support, we can do it. To restore its prosperity, the North must grow its economy. The North must grow its economy. Over the years, the region has suffered deindustrialization and long-term social and economic decline. Several years of inadequate protection have robbed agriculture of its capacity to support a modern, fast-growing economy in northern Nigeria. The combined GDP of the 19 northern states comes up to about 108 billion USD only. On per capita basis, this is less than $1,000. On the other hand, Lagos State only, with a population of approximately 15 million people, that is 12.5% of northern Nigeria's population, has an estimated GDP of 46 billion US. Not only is the northern economy small, but it's also structurally defective. The economy must grow for economic opportunities to abound. The next item that fits into this chain is the development of our infrastructure. The supply of efficient infrastructure, including roads and rail transportation, communication, and adequate power, is extremely important for the economy to grow and create jobs. To build the economy of our dream, we must increase the stock and improve the quality of our infrastructure. Inadequate infrastructure has been identified as the most problematic factor for doing business in Nigeria. Those of us who do business know we provide our electricity, we provide our water, we provide our roads, we provide everything. Government doesn't provide anything except taxing us. In terms of actual spending, Nigeria currently spends less than 1% of its annual GDP on infrastructure as against the required levels of between 3 to 5% of annual GDP. This shortfall has created a deficit estimated as 3 trillion US dollars over the next 30 years. The public sector does not have the resources or expertise to deliver, while our infrastructure financing requirement is approximately 100 billion per annum. Nigeria's annual budget is only approximately 30 billion. Big deficit. We shall and we have to incentivize with regulation and tax incentives a consortium of private sector institutions, both local and foreign, to establish an infrastructure debt fund. This is what I proposed, in my covenant with Nigerians. Because I asked, where are we going to get the money? The government doesn't have the money. We must incentivize the private sector to come, give them tax relief, give them whatever relief they are looking for, ask them to invest, and make sure our rail works in the north, our roads work in the north, our electricity works in the north. Let them invest. Let them recoup their investment, even if it is, 20, 30 years. But we have all these infrastructures to develop our, part of the country. So this is the thread that is running. I have been told I have only 3 minutes left. Another thread that is running through this 5-point program is focusing on agriculture. In the First Republic, it was the mainstay of our economy. Why should we abandon it? We abandon it simply because of the emergence of revenue from oil. Those of you who are of my own generation know that we were not educated by oil money. Absolutely not. Those of my own generation and those older than I am. We were educated by revenue derived from agriculture and taxation. So what can we do to make sure that we wean ourselves from dependence on oil? So agriculture, again here, is one top priority. I intend to make sure the North receives the greatest support so that we can reinvent our agriculture. The fourth is stimulating medium, small enterprises. Medium, small enterprises are what provides prosperity and employment to the lower and middle income people in our country. I can give you an example which I have always given. I have a micro-standard finance bank, which is today one of the best in the country. And it empowers virtually only women. And as a result of that, we have moved 45,000 families out of poverty in my state to a state of prosperity. But all of them women. So that is why I propose that we will set aside 10 billion USD to promote small, medium enterprises for our young entrepreneurs who leave school so that they can start up their own businesses. And there is one thing very, very important, and that is making sure that entrepreneurship is part of our curriculum. If you have attended my university in Yola, whether you are studying law or engineering or political science, you must find that you must study entrepreneurship. It's a compulsory subject. This is because We want you, when you come out, you don't have to look for a job. When you come out, we want you to create jobs for yourself and for others. So this is another thread in my 5-point program. And of course, once you are able to move out hundreds of thousands of people from poverty, you can be rest assured that you are making progress. And then, of course, finally, or before finally, is the issue of restructuring or devolving more powers to the states and the local governments. When about 2004, when I started advocating for restructuring, I had a very, very, very strong opposition from the North. Very strong. Today, thank God, the Northern governors themselves and Northern people themselves have bought into restructuring. What does it mean? It all simply means giving our states more powers, responsibilities, and also more funding to execute their own individual programs in their respective states. Simple. It doesn't mean you are going to get less from what you are going to get or what you are getting, but it simply means that you have more responsibility as far as governance is concerned. And then, of course, last but not the least is the repositioning of our educational system. In the old northern Nigeria, there was no dropout. There was no dropout. Those of you who are as old as myself or older than me can testify. No dropout. You see, the first set, you go to government college, either Zaria or Kefi, or then secondary technical, this Kaduna Polytechnic. The second, you go to provincial secondary schools. The third, you go to the craft schools. In the craft schools, that is what have become polytechnic. You learn your city and guilds. The fourth, you go to the farm centers. In the farm centers, you are trained either in animal husbandry or some form of trade. So that by the time you leave the center, you are given a capital. So Ahmadu Bello used to approve, capital for them. So at the end of the day, no dropout. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, education is the last thread. And I am passionate about it. That's why I have an educational, what I call from cradle to grave. I have a kindergarten, I have a nursery, I have a secondary, I have a primary, I have a secondary, I have a university, all located in one location. So you can start as a baby until you get your PhD, and then you teach in the same university, you retire there, you die there, and you are buried there. So that's what we call from cradle to grave. So for me, education is fundamental, is non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. So my fellow brothers and sisters of the Arewa community, I am an optimist. I believe we can unite and do it together and propel northern Nigeria or northern states to a higher level of prosperity, peace, security, and unity. I want to thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I can now have the privilege to answer your questions. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, former Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. You have listened carefully to His Excellency, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. And now we want to go to the second segment of the interactive session, which we want to start with the panelists. But before then, I want to make one important announcement, which is very, very important, so that I want to clear some certain misconceptions. We have the first session in the morning, which was not aired, actually, but now this program is being aired live. Therefore, we have to admit it is the candidate that actually provides for all the hearing. It is not the organizers that made the hearing, so that people cannot say that we are making segregation. This is very important. And we allow any other candidate that can also provide for his own arrangement for hearing, because it's very important to make this a clarification, so that people will not go out with a certain misconception that we started the program in the morning without live coverage, but now we do the second segment of the session, and we are expecting for the next segment, which is coming around 4:30 to 6:30. So therefore, it is very important to make this announcement. Okay, we want to start with the panels. I want to call. I want to start with the Wazir in Katsina, so that he can make his own comment.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Now, my name is Senator Ibrahim Ida, Wazir in Katsina, and I'm the Deputy Chairman of ACF. Now, I want to start the ball rolling. Your Excellency, when you started, you said you wanted to be grilled. And we have a team of 6 people here that will really grill you, with all due respect. Sir, I'm going to ask you a question on a social issue. An intractable issue that has defied solution. An issue that is a global, national problem, but it has been predicated to a state or local government issue, and that is the issue of al-Majirai. Now, statistics show that there are over 20 million out-of-school children. Definitely, I believe that there are more than that. Now, we have not gone into the details of your covenant with Nigerians, but we want to know specifically. This issue has now been made to be addressed by local governments and states. They don't have the resources, they don't have the wherewithal, and for that matter, I don't think they even have the capacity. Sir, what specific approach would you make that is different from what the previous governments have done, which have really either scratched it on the surface or has not made any possible or any apparent impact? That is the question, Your Excellency.
Please, the media should move their microphone to the front of the Vice President, because he wants to answer the question while sitting. No problem? Eh? Yeah, okay. No problem? You say what? No problem.
Thank you. Hello, hello. Yeah, can I have your attention, please?
Please, we need absolute silence, please. We need absolute silence, please.
The Waziri of Kazina has asked me a question on the issue of the Al-Majiri case. Yes, it is true. According to UNESCO, we have about 20 million out-of-school children in Nigeria, and most of them in the north. I believe you don't need magic to resolve this problem. What you need is commitment and investment in education. I want to give you an example what happened to me. In 1999, when I became vice president, I went to visit my village. I found that the only primary school that was still standing was the one I attended, which was established in 1954. And it had more than 3,000 pupils. More than 3,000. What did I do? I now went to every Angua. We have about 7 Anguawi in my village. And I built a complete primary school and equipped it and handed it over to the local government and built a science secondary school and also equipped it and handed it over to the local government. The point is that I don't agree that either our local governments or our states don't have the capacity. I will tell you why. Again, when we were in office, we enacted a compulsory education law, making it compulsory for every child to go to school in Nigeria. And it is the responsibility of the states and local government to ensure that. What did we do? We also imposed education tax on Nigerians. Those of you sitting here are paying education tax, whether you know or you don't know. And this education tax is being distributed to the states and local governments every month. How do we get them to make sure they utilize those funds to make sure there are enough schools? After all, as most of you know who have read my history, my father went to prison because he refused to send me to school. Now, the village head cannot force you to go to school. The district head cannot force you to go to school. Not even the local government. They say there is fundamental human rights. But you can legislate it. Since we legislated compulsory education tax, why will we not legislate compulsory that you must send your children to school? So I don't agree that we don't have the capacity, either in terms of manpower or in terms of funding to do it. We have made the funding available. When I was vice president, I summoned all the northern governors here in this Arewa house. I set up a committee under Adamu Bake, Professor Adamu Bake. How can the northern states catch up with their counterparts in the south? And he spent almost 1 year touring the northern states and doing all that and so on and so forth. He came with a blueprint. I invited all the northern governors here in this Arewa house, and I handed over the blueprint to each governor. Go and implement it. If they had implemented those blueprints, we will not be where we are today. There will not be all this terrorism and so on and so forth. No. So we have what it takes. What perhaps we have lacked was the capacity and also the leadership. Me, I will not be president and sit down and see you do this work. I will not sit down and look at you. I will make you do your work. Not that anything. I will make you do your work. Finish.
The next one, I want to be selfish. I want to invite Professor Binta Abdul Karim to come forward.
My brother Waziri, you're welcome. My name is Binta Abdul Karim from Ahmadu Bello University. I have this to ask. The National Biodiversity Action Plan, the Act on the Corruption of Water, the Clean Air Act, the Niger Delta Commission, the Lake Chad Basin Commission, the GGW Commission have everything in common. That is to improve the livelihood of Nigeria. That's the Alternative Livelihood Package. In your speech, you have an agenda of between now and 2030, which is just 8 years. And you know, to achieve a substantive political interlock, vis-a-vis education, the human interaction, the built environment. I'm glad my brother Namadi is here. We need habitat, housing, wealth, money, security. And for each of these, there are timelines. Short, medium, and long. Please, Waziri, we want to know that window of timeline that you have, you can achieve this 6-term or 6 plan or 5 NECO, Bier NECO, so within 8 years. Thank you very much.
Well,
and also,
Binta, I have already answered that one now.
I have one more question. And also, most of these agencies are not working in consonance with each other. Everybody is working on his own. How do you unite us, please?
There has to be a streamlining, first of all, of these agencies. In fact, one of my policies is to make sure how do we reduce even the number of these agencies, because there are so many interlapping agencies that have been created by government. So that has to be resolved by realigning these agencies. And then, secondly, when it comes to the issue of funding, where you are very much concerned, I have told you how I intend to use the private sector to get involved in funding some of these projects. Because we don't have the money, I said it. So where are we going to get the money? Right now, if you are talking about housing, there is an oversupply of housing in Abuja. You know why? Simply because there is money laundering. But the oversupply of housing is not housing that caters for the ordinary man, for the poor man. What you can do is to identify those investors in housing. Come. Yeah, you are building houses for medium and high income groups. I want you to build houses for low income, these people who don't have houses. If you build the houses, I will give you tax incentive. I will give you this, I will give you that. They will do it. They will do it. The point is that, well, I hope, pardon me if I'm approaching governance like a businessman. I am a businessman. But governance nowadays is managing business. If you don't know how to manage business, don't get involved in governance, because you will be a failure.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I also want to now call on Ajay Ravisola, please, for time, because we are running out of time. I'm giving you 2 minutes, please. And go straight to your question, please.
'Yan uwana matan Arewa da mazan Arewa. Your Excellency, Jam'iyyar Matan Arewa was founded in 1963 by our mothers who felt the northern woman was being left out. 59 years after, we are still being left out, be it economically, be it socially, be it educationally, be it politically. Your Excellency, you have daughters. Your sons have wives. I think it's high time we, the northern woman, is given a chance. Sai a ce mata muna da matsala, kuma bayan ku maza ku ne matsalanmu. Sai ku ji an ce ai mace tana da rauni, to raunin ba hauka bane, ai muna da hankali. To gaskiya, apologies to those that don't understand Hausa, but this is a brother of ours. He is from the north. He is a son of the soil. He understands what I'm talking about. And I think we have taken enough. Politically, look at Northwest. There's only one legislator, female legislator in Kaduna State. There is none, House of Assembly. There is none in Kano. There is not one assembly, Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Gawa, and even in Kaduna, we can say we are Kamuyabude. There's only one, and she's still struggling for her seat. Politically, they will say, go, the form is free. Abi, my sister, the form is free. But at the primaries, that's where you people bring us down. Wallahi sai na yi magana. Now, I don't think there's any chairperson of any political party that is female. Is there? Is there in PDP, sir? I think Mr. Ayu is here.
Arewa, time.
Let me finish this.
Time.
Any political party, they will give you woman leader, and they say they're finished with the women. That woman leadership should be dissolved. We don't want it anymore. Maybe if we abolish it, maybe one day there'll be a female chairperson in a party. We have a lot of our girl child that are uneducated. We have so many problems. We have early child marriages. Health-wise, we have women in the local areas, in the rural areas that die while giving.
Time, please.
We have so many problems. And you are one of my problems.
Haji Arabi, if you want women problem to be solved, vote PDP. Because we are the only government or administration that have met the very minimum of the Beijing Declaration of 30% women representation, either in cabinet or in other offices. And in fact, if you vote for me, you will get more. You know why you will get more? Are you with me? Are you with me? Do you know why you will get more with me? Because I was brought up by my mom. After my father died long time ago. So that's why in my last presentation I said I directed my bank to give 80% of their loan to women And because of that, we moved out 45,000 families out of poverty. And because of that, we have 90% repayment. 90% repayment by women. They will pay loan. And they will utilize it to improve their family, to send their children to school, and even to support their husbands to marry another one. So, if you want to see the rise of women, vote PDP, vote Atiku.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I want to call Alhaji Babayola, please. I'm giving only 1 minute, please.
Your Excellency, sir, my name is Babayola Mahmoud Toko. My question is, irredentism has taken over the country. We only hear of Yoruba race and Igbo nation. When people are talking about Nigeria, from where I'm sitting, I notice it's only Northerners. I'm talking as a Northerner, not as a pan-Nigerian. It's only Northerners that are talking about Nigeria. People talk about the Igbo nation, the Yoruba race, and so on and so forth. In this context, I've been profiled. I've been denied opportunities of growth in certain parts of the country. I've been maligned. Criminality and banditry have been ethnicized. And it has been identified with me. In presentation, in your 20-minute presentation, I didn't hear you talk about how you intend to make me feel a Northerner. Some programs of this government, like the rural grazing area, like the NLTP, the National Livestock Transformation Program, and open ranching or ranching as against open grazing, have not been realized because the government have been susceptible to blackmail. How do you intend to make me feel a Nigerian? To start thinking like a Nigerian? I am thinking as a Northerner now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. To be honest, we Northerners always think about Nigeria more than other parts of the country. This is simply because we are multi-ethnic and multi-religious. There is no any other ethnic group in the Southwest other than Yoruba. There is no any other ethnic group in the Southwest other than Igbo. So that's why they identify themselves as Igbo nation, Yoruba nation, whatever nation they call themselves. But in the North, what are you going? You can only identify yourself as a Northerner because we are multi-ethnic and multi-religious. Multi-ethnic and multi-religious. When you come to you give an example of grazing or open grazing. One, I am a manufacturer of livestock feeds, from cattle to poultry. Two, I have more than 1,000 heads of cattle. They have never moved out of one location. So it's simply introducing modern methods of looking after our livestock. No more, no less. I had a very big quarrel with the governor of Otom on his accusation of Fulani, this Fulani, that. Big quarrel with him. I say, I'm Fulani. Why should you categorize all Fulanis? And he admitted even his own ethnic group are stealing his own cow. I said, then why are you not calling all thieves? They are all thieves also. So, it's just that we have to improve on the way and manner we look after our livestock. They have 1,000 heads of cattle there. They have never moved out. And I'm a manufacturer, as I told you, of livestock feeds, from cattle to chicken to whatever. I manufacture them and I sell. So it's a question of introducing modern ways of how we tender, our livestock. Finish.
Thank you very much, sir. I also now want to invite Dr. Mikim for just 1 minute, Doctor.
Your Excellency, Northerners are watching you now, and in the next few days, they will hear or they will see you. Please tell the Northerner why, out of all the presidential candidates, they should trust you and not anybody else with their votes and their trust, and why you are the best candidate that can lead the North and Nigeria through changes. Please, talk to the Northerner directly.
Well, Malam Northerner. Oh, Madam Northerner. I have been in politics now for 3 decades. Alaji Ayakwande Sarkin Kwande, or Professor Ango. 35. And I have traversed the whole of this country. I know the whole of this country. I have built bridges across this country. I think what the average Northerner needs is somebody who is from the north and who also understands the other parts of Nigeria and who has been able to build bridges across the rest of the country. This is what the Northerner needs. He doesn't need a Yoruba candidate or an Igbo candidate. This is what the Northerner needs. So I believe I stand before you as a pan-Nigerian of Northern origin. Thank you very much.
Please. We are running out of time. We want to invite our 2 people to make comments. Then thereafter, we have our 2 or 3 questions from the floor, which is very, very important. The last session, we didn't allow anybody from the floor to make a question. But before then, I want to call Chief Audube. I want to give you 2 minutes. Please take it. I want to give you 2 minutes, please.
Your Excellency, just 2 questions. How can you help the local government system to perform better? Because right now, most of you will agree the local government system is not working in many states. And number 2, how much longer will the Naira continue to die? Your Excellency, we are of the same generation, and we knew the Naira was $1.50. Today, it is 740 Naira to $1. Is there any way of controlling the appetite of Nigerians for irresponsible importation? Because if we don't, this is how the French Revolution happened. Unnecessary devaluation of their currency for too long. Thank you, sir.
Audu, Chief Audogbe, you and I were foundation members of PDP. You know that in our government, that was not so. You left us, you went to APC. And you brought about the present predicament you are talking about. You know that PDP has the capacity to definitely correct these challenges that have been brought to us by APC. We did it before when we came in 1999. We lifted the economy from virtually from bottom to the top. Nigerians said we didn't know how to do it. I think they said there is a half-time proverb where they say when you have two wives, you know which one is better. I don't know. So Nigerians have now tested PDP and APC. Yawa Jiki Magai. So I believe we have the capacity to stabilize the value of the naira. When it started sliding down, I cried and cried. I said, look, it is time we stop this. It is time we merge the parallel markets with the official listing. But then that has not been done. We now have maybe about 4 exchange rates. I've never heard of it. I'm not an economist, but I listen to economists. And every economist that I have listened to has told me that it is wrong. So I believe we have the capacity and we have the experience to merge the exchange rate to a level where international investors will be comfortable to bring in their money, and also Nigerians themselves will be comfortable with the value of their currency.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
How do we help the local government system be more efficient? Again, I will want to go back. When I was vice president, I used to be in charge of local government. So, and I directed the Ministry of Finance. I said all local government allocations must be transferred straight to the local government. But then the system was going on very well, and the local governments were functional. And then later on, I was overruled and was told that the local government funding must go through the states to a so-called joint account. And from joint account, we don't know where the money went to. So I believe it is something that we can also correct. For sure, we can correct it. And the local governments can function better. I used to tell some of these local government chairmen, I said, when I was growing up, the people who were running our local government or native authorities system were either grade 3 or grade 2 at most. And yet they ran a local government system that was very, very efficient, very accountable, and we were all educated from local government sources. No oil money, it was only taxation. My parents were paying poll tax, cattle tax, goat tax, market stall tax, radio tax, bicycle tax. This was all the sources. Abi, those of you, my elders who are here, Waziri, Bauchi, and others. These were the taxes that were the local governments were collecting. There is no allocation at all. So we can reinvent how the local government system can be funded, can be managed, and then we can have the best results from that reorganization. God bless you all.
Please, I want to give 2 minutes to Raja Haman.
An kyauce da zan gano shi. To ai gaskiya ne. My name is Sule Hamma. Waziri and the candidate of the PDP, I would like to follow on the question raised by Baba Yola Tongo. That is to say, the position of a Nigerian as a Nigerian citizen. All these policy programs are aimed at obviously developing the Nigerian citizen and creating something within the context of Nigeria in order to give value and meaning to a Nigeria. Nigerian citizenship is the issue central to Nigerianness. From 1960 to today, Nigerian citizenship has been losing value and respect. It has diminished a position that while the Constitution has guaranteed a Nigerian citizen to move around the country in freedom, safety, and peace, and to live in any part of the country, to pursue his livelihood in any part of the country, in reality, it is not so. It is not only now within the context of Nigerian territory, but even within the international community, Nigerian citizenship is losing its value to the degree that visas are not being given to Nigerians by many countries today. So I'm wondering what the former vice president and candidate would do with his experience to help restore that dignity, that value, that meaning of Nigerian citizenship.
Thank you very much, Malan Suleyama. Definitely, there is need for an administration to look into that. One, I believe the issue of citizenship should be looked into. What do I mean by the issue of citizenship should be looked into it? In other words, there must be, every Nigerian must be given under the law the right of citizenship wherever you may decide to be. What I mean by that, at the 1994 Constitutional Conference, we have made a draft proposition on the issue of residency, where we made it, or we made a provision where a term of residency spanning either 2 years or 3 years will give you, wherever you reside, the right of a citizenship. But it was vehemently opposed, mostly by our southern counterparts, not by even northerners. Because I remember our group was then led by the late Sheikh Musa Yaradua. So there, if you could also recollect, in one of the transitions of President Babangida, in one of his transition laws, there was a provision which made it your right to contest an election once you reside in a locality for 2 years and you are paying your taxes and so on and so forth. But of course, it was a transition provision. So the moment that transition, and you know IBB had several transitions. So the moment that transition was over, that law lapsed. So I think, and I believe, the process of nationhood is a continuous process. Up till now, after more than 200 years old, there are still some parts of the United States who are saying they don't want to be part of the United States. So it's a process of nation building. I am optimistic with a reasonably responsible and just leadership that can give every part of this country a sense of belonging. We will achieve and we can achieve nationhood. We came in 1999 with a government of national unity. If we had not formed that government of national unity, there wouldn't have been peace and stability, and we wouldn't have been able to govern. I believe, again, we have gone backwards to warrant. That's why I announced, when I announced my candidature, I said, if I win and you vote for me, I will form a government of national unity. Simply because peace, unity, and stability is prerequisite for a purposeful government that can bring about prosperity and unity. So I believe it is achievable and we can achieve it. We should not lose hope on that because some people are negative in their tendencies. We can't stop them from being negative. We are a democracy anyway. So even as of today, there are some people who are agitating for breakup in the United States after 200 and million years of independence. God bless you all. Thank you.
Your Excellency, we are very grateful. But there is one important question somebody sent from the floor, and that question has the issue of corruption. He raises that one of the major scourge of this country is the issue of corruption. How can you deal with the issue of corruption when you are being elected as a president?
Well, the issue of corruption or dealing with corruption is multidimensional. But I think I have given some examples before in some of my public speeches, and even my experience. When we came into office, we had evidence from the investigative bodies of a list of people who stole money and where the money was being kept. So I walked up to the president and said, Mr. President, you know what? Say what? I said, if we say we are going to prosecute all these people, we will spend the next 10 years until we leave office. We will not jail them, we will not get the money. He said, so what do you propose? I said, I propose you set up a panel to call each and every one of them in confidentially. And he set up a panel. He made me chairman, made the Attorney General a member, made General Gusau, National Security, a member. And we started calling them one by one. He said, okay, we have evidence you have stolen so much. This is where the money is. Return the money. We give you 2% or 5%. And within a few months, we collected 2.8 billion US dollars. 2.8 billion US dollars. Since then, no government has been able to recover stolen money. And some of the people that we recovered money have even returned to Nigeria, contested elections. They were in the National Assembly, they are governors, and so on and so forth. So, this is one way you can deal with corruption. Another way you can also deal with corruption is to make sure that the loopholes that allows public officers to be corrupt are blocked. The loopholes that are in our system or in our procedures that allow public officers to steal money. You cannot be sitting down, let's say, head of state, and you don't know what your ministers are doing. You don't know what your directors are doing. You don't know what anybody is doing. Not possible. Anyway, not with Atiku. Maybe with somebody else. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to call Murtala Aliu. Just give you 1 minute, please.
Your Excellency, next year by now, there will still be flood in Abuja and in Jigawa, and most part of northern parts of the country. Because we've been warned last time that there will be flood this year. And if nothing is done, there will be the same flood next year. And over 5 million families or persons have been displaced from their residences. And there have been remediations being proposed, like dredging of the river, Hadeja, Komadugu, Yobe, and so on, to narrow the floodplains to ensure that water is channeled to Lake Chad to reduce the flooding. I don't know if the government you are coming to head has a plan for managing the ecology, especially as it affects flooding in northern Nigeria. Thank you.
Well, I can assure you we do, because there was also flood in Adamawa. So, virtually all parts of northern Nigeria have experienced this flooding. And again, unfortunately, when we came into this administration, we found that there were contracts that were awarded for dredging of River Niger. Contracts awarded, paid. Up till today. Now, so I believe that these are projects that are fundamental to the realization of our food security, in particular in the north, and also our agriculture. Again, some of these dams can be turned into medium or small and medium hydroelectricity projects. I propose that in our second term, by 2005, we would have been self-sufficient in electricity. But that proposal was not, or was rather rejected. So all these rivers and dams, for instance, you have so many dams in the northwest. All what you need to do is bring the turbines, install them, and you generate power. You distribute within the northwest. You don't even have to upgrade your transmission. You can do that in the northeast, you can do that in the north central, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the projects that you can divert this flooding into these dams to create mini power stations. I remember President Ramos of the Philippines. I used to give the example. By the time he came into power in Philippines, the whole of Philippines was in darkness. So what he did, he made provision for regional power stations. And within 2 years, the whole of Philippines was lit up. So anytime, anywhere he appears, if you say Ramos, they will say power, 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 power. Because there was power, there was light everywhere in Philippines. But the policy of government of trying to centralize as much as possible power generation, power transmission for a diverse country like Nigeria is wrong.
Thank you very much. We have actually come to the end of this program. So we are going to the next important segment, which is presentation of the framework which has been developed by this group, which will be submitted to His Excellency, the PDP presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. I would like to invite Professor Angu Abdullahi, Chief Audobe, Barisa Zara, to come and make the presentation on behalf of the groups. I'm coming. That's the list. Yeah, akwai board of tax. Kai za ka yi.
That being behind the organization of this important interactive between the North and our presidential candidates, especially those from this part of the country. They have prepared something that they think the candidates should carry home. And it is my honor and privilege to be assigned to hand this over to you. Vice President, hopefully Mr. President.
We will make use of them.
So, quickly, there will be a vote of thanks by Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed. But before the vote of thanks, please, we want to recognize the presence of Dr. Ayucha Ayu, the PDP National Chairman, and also the Dr. Raymond, High Chief Dr. Raymond, DG Technical and etc. Thank you very much. Please, vote of thanks.
Chief Raymond Okwesi will offer the vote of thanks. Chief Raymond Okwesi. Chief.
Vote of thanks. May I please, on behalf of His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 to 2007, and his indefatigable Vice Presidential candidate, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, and the entire team express profound appreciation and gratitude for the opportunity for our principal to interact with you and through you with all Nigerians. We believe that the candidate to vote to resolve the challenges of Nigeria is definitely Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. God bless you. Thank you.
You've been watching an Arise News live coverage.